right, get my headphones on. So we are live. So this is episode 191 of the SEO Vault. Welcome everybody that's tuning in immediately, and welcome anybody that's listening into the recordings. So make sure to check us out across all of our different podcasting platforms. Also head over to the SEO Vault, our website, to check up on all those recordings and then the links to all those different locations. And if you enjoy what you are listening to or watching, definitely make sure to share this across anybody else that you know who works across the SEO industry. Just a quick reminder, we're also soon in the future, we're going to try to multi-stream over to YouTube. But for now, the YouTube channel is also there if you prefer to use YouTube. That's just going to have our uploaded recordings on it. So today it's going to be myself and Mike, and we're going to be analyzing the news, of course, as usual, but I also have a quick topic to throw into the mix just to get some thoughts and feelings across. It's one of the questions that I hear a lot about regarding structure of websites, so we'll get into that a little bit here. Let me see. So as far as brand updates, I think this is like the second week that we don't have too much major ones outside of the updates we did about 3 weeks ago. So essentially, I would say be on the lookout for a refresher of Whitelabel sales materials. I'm currently working on the new version of the local client takeover SEO course. So if you're not in that group already, that's another group for you to join, the local client takeover group. But I will soon start posting about this in the local, the SEO community group that all of us are in right now. So if you're looking to get any sort of last minute additions into what we're going to include on that course, especially if you're in here right now, that would be a great time for you to comment as I start recording. Well, I've already started recording the footage, but I'm pretty much like halfway through with that course right now. So be on the lookout for those updates in the future. Outside of that, I would say we can pretty much just start diving into the news. Or Mike, do you think we should go into the news first or talk a little bit about multi-language site structure?
I don't know. Multi-language site structure sounds like fun. Honestly, don't have too much experience with it, so we
Well, I
could
think
see.
that's, yeah, I think that'll be a good thing because there's a lot of people who haven't delved into that type of region of, I guess, other languages. But I guess we can start there. And then if anybody has questions throughout the show, obviously just go ahead and place your comments there and I'll go and read them. So it looks like we're joined by Rihan again today. But okay, so and again, as I talk about this, if you have any experience that you've gone through with multi-language websites, I'd be curious to hear about your opinions on that as well. But I'll open with, I guess, a bit of a situation that I recently went through where I took over a website of an attorney, and one of the things that was done before me was that there was a multi-language plugin that was implemented. So there's a bunch of different ones that you can use, but a lot of people that I see recommending that you use one will typically choose one that has a lot of automation in place as far as the translation aspect of it. But Mike, have you ever used a plugin like this before?
I have. That is one time, and literally my only experience with multi-language sites. It was long, long time ago. Well, long, long time ago, probably like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And yeah, didn't work that well. Definitely wasn't as well as we are now today with like translating things with plugins and whatnot. So not what I would say too familiar with it, to be honest.
Yeah, so the main issue with a lot of the plugins, for one, the translation method. So in the past year, we've seen like GPT-4 come out, and a lot of these plugins just have not implemented any of this yet. So they're mainly just using something like Google Translate or something just very basic to get translations out. So overall, I think there's like a worry about the quality, right? So a lot of the content that we produce nowadays, or just over time, we try to get a little bit better with the quality if we're trying to be really competitive. But so just from a quality standpoint, I noticed translations aren't the best with the plugin options that are out there. But so basically, the website that I took over, it had a situation where in Spanish, there's a lot of special characters. So anytime a special character was kind of introduced into the permalinks, um, I guess it would come out all funky, like it had like the weird symbols and everything. So that's one thing that I immediately noticed. But another thing is you kind of lack control over what gets translated and what doesn't. So across this, across this website, thankfully it wasn't very large, but some people are definitely adding these plugins on some attorney websites that I've noticed. Several hundred pages large, and all of a sudden they have like the city mentions being translated. So I've seen some pretty funky things come out from those types of plugins that kind of automate things, and just it's like the you just set it and click it, and it just translates every single page to a certain language and does the href flangs or the HRE flangs for you. But that I guess that was a big thing, and I would recommend that you use something that's a little bit more manual in the translations, just because we can use GPT-4 nowadays to get a way better result than just like Google Translate. But one plugin that I would recommend, and is not like sponsored or anything, is Polylang. So that's the one that I ended up switching this attorney over to. And again, you do have to manually build the pages out as you would normally, but I guess the quality level that you get is way better, and you're able to edit every individual page so that you can do like internal linking or any other thing that you might want to edit without having to go and edit any theme files. But that was just one, topic I want to introduce because it's something that I've been messing with lately. And I know for bigger websites that you're trying to clean it up and switch to a more manual method, all of a sudden it's generating a ton of extra work just to clean up the website at that point. But so you got Matt joining in and Jeffrey. What's up, guys?
Yo,
Never
yo.
have to say the following. Matt's always
Yeah.
trying to. Matt's always trying to get an easier process, I guess, for what he's doing. GA4 is utterly clunky, so I've only messed with a little bit in GA4 right now, like some very basic conversions as far as contact forms. But I'm not sure what you mean by it being clunky. Um, Let me know what you're thinking there. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the multi-language thing. I guess I would say if you're trying to delegate work like internal linking, nowadays it's incredibly simple to just teach somebody how to use either Google Translate or GPT-4 to come out with translations. So if you ever, let's say you are running the internal linking tool from Ahrefs, or you're building a worksheet of some kind where you have a bunch of edits, on page edits that you need to do to different pages, even if it's in Spanish, if you can translate everything over, even like the anchor text, all of a sudden it's feasible to have somebody do on page for a language that they're not familiar with. It just takes a bunch of extra steps, but this is something that in the years prior it was a lot more cumbersome to do it with just Google Translate, versus now being able to get way more natural translations with GPT-4. So there's a lot of work that I'm doing on my end just to get a more solid process for Spanish content, and just Spanish because I'm familiar with the language, but I'm definitely trying to expand into other languages because I notice so many marketers obviously shy away from it. So that's something that you could potentially be offering that other people aren't right now. Thoughts on PSEO? Do you know what he's referring to there?
SEO. No. Sounds like a cryptocurrency.
I don't know what that is. Unless he just like misspelled it. But I can't find any reference. Oh, programmatic SEO.
Oh, man, we've been doing programmatic SEO for as long as we've been able to program something. Like, I mean, the fact is AI is going to expand the abilities of doing certain things programmatically exponentially. But I've honestly never had a problem with automating things in SEO. Um, there's a difference between like automating though and just saying like we're gonna run GSA links or something, right? Like there's so programmatic SEO, yeah, being able to analyze a page dynamically, find what other competitors' keyword ratios they're using, write relevant content based on topics that are referenced on the competitors' pages that aren't on your page, and post it to the page with schema and all that. Yeah, that's gonna happen. And
so
SEOs who don't want to adapt are just gonna be left behind.
Mike, I think I saw you posting. I'm not sure if it was in the group, but regarding that new feature that came out for ChatGPT, where it can
Oh,
crawl
the
URLs.
plugins.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, as far as programmatic SEO, I mean, at least for on page, right? Having the ability to include your specific competitors that you want to analyze for a given page really open. I mean, that definitely opens you up as far as if you're gonna build a process to make use of that, because. Just think about all the huge tools that we've been using, like Surfer SEO. A lot of this can potentially be automated through some type of AI model like this, where you start with a piece of content that's generated off of maybe a prompt that you came up with ahead of time or somebody's clever prompt, but also now very specifically like this URL, this one, and this one is what you take in to understand the value that's being shared. Because at that point, it's got me thinking about different processes to just build out content way faster, where you're not having the writer again, you're just having the editor at the end of the line there.
It's yeah. When I hear programmatic SEO, I just think using tools to automate part of SEO, and it's going to be extremely automated. Content is definitely going to be heavily automated. Pretty soon we'll just be able to put in a prompt and have a whole, TV episode series of characters and plots and stuff just cranked out from one little idea. Um, but yeah, it's something you're just gonna have to stay on top of and adapt to it. Like even now with ChatGPT, writing writing content that's very technical is super easy too. Like I've been just giving URLs and uploading PDFs to technical documentation for software or anything, and you could have it write very in-depth tutorials on all kinds of stuff. Like literally just from the documentation provided from a software. Um, give it that API documentation, and then it'll write your code for you for with the APIs and all that. It so
So that's the key, I would say, with all of this, especially right now. Like, what info are you feeding it yourself? Because if you're just kind of broadly asking it questions and just using its entire database, I think you're kind of missing the point of the of the technology. But yeah,
Yeah, and with the plugins, they have the web search too. I highly suggest do not use that at all. I believe it's using Bing search, but essentially what you're doing is having the AI go out and decide what to search and what to reference to find your answers, and that's not what you want. Like,
yeah, at least not
get the
now.
information, yeah. Like literally get technical documentation, studies. You can get a list of like scientific studies, something around like if you have a diet blog or something, give it those URLs and tell it to write a blog post about diet and nutrition supported by the studies. and then it can do that and use those facts and reference those studies. But yeah, don't just like go and say, write me a blog article about diet and reference scientific studies, because it's going to go out to Bing and start searching scientific studies for dieting and exercise, and you're just going to get whatever it finds. So yeah, I don't like the search aspect, but the concept of uploading a PDF. I'm just now starting to play around with some of the other plugins that allows it to communicate with other things like Zapier and whatnot. So you could actually, I think I even saw like Instacart on there. So maybe you could just order your groceries and stuff. You
That's
tell
cool.
it to, I need a recipe for 4 people tonight, and get me the grocery list and order it on Instacart. So it's here by 5 p.m. kind of deal. I don't know, but I mean, that's definitely going to happen soon. I'm sure of it. Get ready, people.
So
You're,
let's see.
yeah.
Rihan was saying, I guess he was asking for some help around. It looks like just an overall strategy about nailing down on the right keywords. So I think he's talking about just like whenever you're presented a campaign, how to start the keyword research, how to know what to go after. I mean, there's a lot of guides that go into that, but my suggestion, at least in the context of what we were talking about, and also saying like Spanish and other languages, the best suggestion I would say is, I mean, taking the onboarding info from the client, which is kind of key because if it's a prospect, this becomes way harder. But if you have an input as to from the business owner, well, it's these services that I do. If you have that type of input, now you know for sure what to at least go on SEO tools and try to pull up. So what you want to pull up, I would say, is the competitors. So if you have the services, okay, well that's enough for you to go on even just Google Translate and type in, okay, what, or actually better, it'd be way better just GPT-4 or ChatGPT, anything like that. Go in there and ask, okay, if you provide these services, or what other services could this type of business do? And that's going to give you different variations. Now, if you have that full list and you translate that list, so you can say, okay, how would you call these services if you were in this country? How would you refer to them by? Now you have the translated natural way of saying that service. So now you're way closer now to something that's like a high intent serve commercial query, right? Somebody looking for the service. Because that's a big thing. You just translate the way somebody searches for something here. It doesn't mean you get the proper keyword for the other language. But using that, and then now using this information, you go and you check live results. Who's ranking at the top for these? All of a sudden, now you have even better information. Here's their competitors. Here's what they're ranking for. All of a sudden, there you go. You have a lot of keyword research, or at least the initial keyword research that can guide the rest of it. I guess those are the overall types of steps that I would take to try and nail down what are the right keywords and doing so even across different languages. But again, I think the key thing is like going into GPT-4 and asking it, what's the natural, like how do people refer to these services in this language? That type of thing. Um, but yeah, any feedback on that, Mike?
Yeah, also, so I mean, your general keyword list, looking at competitors, things like that, is all good. The one of the things that I learned very early on, I think in like the personal injury attorney niche, was that there's a lot of searches, or in roofing actually too, that a lot of searches that are situational, that are about like, like stop a roof leak or slip and fall attorney or seatbelt attorney. They're very what some people call niche or niche verticals or whatever. Um, but the one thing that I do now, especially with AI, is I will go and ask the AI, what situations would people be in where they would be most likely to be looking for this service or want this service? Like, what would they be experiencing or trying to do that they would need this service? And then I would ask it what would be like some common keywords or things that they would possibly search to try and get answers for those problems or those things. And then you can get some rough ideas of kind of things that are more on the outside of, that not so direct keywords, but more so just like those situational or, kind of someone's trying to solve a problem, but they don't know, like, I need a translation service. That's a little more direct, but sometimes you get more obscure things, like even a project me and Victor are working on together, something I was looking into recently when it comes to like transparency, keeping your business legal, and so on. There's a lot of kind of situational terms and I forgot there's a word I like to use, but essentially where someone's trying to solve a problem and they don't know what they're even searching for. And those are a lot of the words I've been able to find with AI recently.
So yeah, that's a so that's a good point for any long tail, anything else informational too, because and then a lot of times if you've done this research by that point, sometimes you end up noticing patterns in the way that people ask for things in that language, and then at that point it can get really easy if you have like if you can start like predicting like okay, is this the way to say it, and now you just kind of search what's ranking on Google, and it's like oh okay, this is the correct way to say it because this is how they're all saying it. Um, but yeah, that's a good point there. But lots of different strategies to try. But yeah, I would say especially in the U.S., like there's no point in not exploring the Spanish content. So I'm really challenging myself to start producing more of that, at least for the lawyer niche. But yeah,
I've
uh,
been I've been whipping out content left and right with Chat GPT. I'm not gonna lie, it's so easy to just find information about stuff you want to write about, give it all to Chat GPT, tell it what you want to communicate or show. Like, is it a guide? Is it a step by step? Is it informational? Is it entertainment? Like, literally just give it those directions. Like, here's the stuff, and then boom. Like, I think yesterday, I had it write, it was like 2,700 words, and it actually did it in like 3 or 4 goes. Like it really was cranking out just a ton. I was surprised it didn't like cut off sooner and stuff. But yeah, it was like a 2,700 word tutorial on technical stuff. Can't say too much else about it, but yeah.
all right. Well, let's see. Were there any other comments on that? I see Matt's arguing. He says, "Keep it human." Hashtag keep it human.
It is
Matt's keeping it natural.
the human trained the AI, human wrote the prompt.
Yeah, you
It's all
still the
human.
human managing all of that. It's
Yeah,
just
but
it's
yeah, I mean,
easier to
also I was
delegate.
you delegate to the AI. That's what
No,
I do.
to not yourself to be doing this essentially.
I delegate to the AI a lot.
I need my AI babysitter is what I'll call him. But all right, let's transition over to the SEO news. The the usual parts that we get through. So I know there was a whole bunch of stuff that we were looking at. Not everything was super groundbreaking, but um, let's see. Let's check out the Google Plus topic search bar refinements finally goes live on desktop. So after so much testing in several months after going live on mobile search, Google went ahead and moved that over the plus topic search bar now over to desktop search results. So just something to be wary of as far as a change. Nothing too crazy there. I won't really get too much deeper into that one. But this other one, I have seen this next one. There's different groups that I'll see people talking about this every now and then, and I don't know. In the past, it's always just been maybe Google just testing this out because I never saw it fully rolled out. But report here from Search Engine Roundtable: Google reduces the local pack results on web search. So there's a bunch of screenshots that were shared here online. It looks like specifically somebody was messing with a Philadelphia injury attorney campaign, but essentially, the typical three pack that's always there. At least in this case, there's one instance of a high intent search query, a service query. So Philadelphia car accident lawyer, and for whatever reason, last week it wasn't pulling any map pack results. So, Mike, have you seen any type of widespread incidents of this? Because again, the only times I've seen it, it's just like, oh, it happened last week, and then it came back the next week, type of thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've seen it hit or miss. Seems like different searches. I mean, I see the search look different all the time with various things, and then I hear sometimes they report it's testing. Sometimes I hear it's changed. So no, I haven't seen too much of it. I honestly don't think I've heard even too much like backlash from clients or seen much on campaigns as far as like reduced search or calls or anything either.
So that's the thing. If it's something that actually sticks for a significant enough amount of time, and it's a high intent one like that, I guess I would start hearing it from the clients. Like people start complaining, and then you start digging through the geogrids, and it's like, oh, whoa, what happened there? It's usually how I've seen that.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna do a live search right now. So I did type in Philadelphia car accident lawyer. It's not showing a map pack, but I'm gonna do a search out of Philadelphia and see if there's no. Yeah, so that's weird. So right now in Philadelphia, you're closer out there. If you could do a car accident lawyers near me, that's kind of strange. That just at least in this situation, this one's not prompting a map pack for me. Oh wait, okay. I did car accident lawyer, and then just car accident lawyer from that city. I guess the center of the city. I see the map pack, but it's at the bottom of the page. So maybe they're just testing this right now. Um, this is definitely one of those things where if they were to roll it out, they would test it in different areas first. But um, are you able to do
Yeah,
that
like I
search?
said, the main thing is I haven't heard anything from clients, which would definitely be my biggest tip off that it's been impacting I mean, we have a lot of niches too. Like we haven't even heard, I think, much from our agency side either that I know of. Like our agency clients at Web 20, we haven't heard too many people asking questions about it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if anybody else in the chat has seen it at all. Matt was saying major proximity shenanigans. So see, at least I wasn't too affected by any sort of like proximity updates. I know there was some people reporting that before, but I kind of tend to imagine it's maybe campaigns that weren't run very holistically, or maybe something was missing there. But I haven't seen any big shakeup really over these last updates, at least from the map pack stuff. So yeah, I'm not worried about it yet, but I'll probably go through and check some geogrids just to see if anything else maybe dropped off. But yeah, again, people the way that people arrive to those screenshots that they share, you don't always know what happened or what account they're using, if that's influencing anything at all.
Yeah, it could be a lot there.
Okay, so let me take a look at the next one. Oh, okay, so another small update. So Google Bard now shows links to citations the same way that Bing does. So that was one thing that was missing there. I'm not sure why they would go without that. Oh well, I guess that was something they didn't have before in there, right, Mike?
I don't know if they were like referencing it. I figured they would be having reference links and because I mean the AI tool is going to be more just like a glorified rich snippet communication tool that reads content and delivers the information in a unique way. That's, versus just taking a snippet from the site essentially.
Yeah, I guess I'm just surprised they didn't have that to even begin with.
Yeah, I mean, they probably my guess is that they maybe were testing with it, but they definitely were probably going to get some major backlash if they didn't give credit for where they're getting the info from. You know what I mean? But it definitely should be noted that it's happening because if this AI search does start to take off, we will see traffic from it. to our sites. Like it will be referenced in chat. People will be going to sites. People, I think it'll be a long, long, long time before people just take information from an AI and leave it at that. Like they're generally going to go and do more research, look more, find out what's being referenced. Even now, when I use Chat GPT for things, unless it's like how to do something in Google Sheets that I just want a quick direction and don't want to search through websites, like I'll just do that. But 99% of the time, it's something where I'm doing some actual research on something. It's not just like a how-to manual, and that's going to still require things like review websites, company websites, you know what I mean, like galleries, before and after galleries, testimonials, things like that. So I'd expect to see more, plus ads, AI ads.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the old days, in the old days,
In the old
when I
back
was
in
in
our
school,
day.
when I was in school, it was the Wikipedia, right? Where all of a sudden people had access to Wikipedia, and it's like, okay, well, you can't just reference stuff and use Wikipedia. So you know, you can't, yeah, you can't just reference the AI model. But
Yeah.
all right, so the next one here, Google helpful content updates. I'm wondering if I didn't see too many people going crazy about this last update, or maybe it's finally people just calming down every time there's new updates.
Well, I think
Um,
that update was about the how the update can now promote and demote content or something.
well, yeah. Here, let me pull up this specific tweet here. It's from the Google Search Liaison account. So, helpful content system will be working to identify and show more hidden
Hidden
gems.
gems. So yeah, content that is essentially just doesn't even get a chance to rank because it's not authoritative enough, probably doesn't have enough backlinks. Could see a lot more dynamic results in the search as Google, as this algorithm kind of tests different sites and things.
That makes
But at this,
sense. Like last week, we were talking about like if Google just very much tailors their search experience, or at least on the new platform that they launched, if they're gonna bring in a new mixture that's more tailored to the user, that makes sense that now they're gonna have to pull out resources, pull out different websites that are not just based off of who has the most traffic and links right now. Um, but here, let me see if so. Yeah, did they say anything else that was specific, or did they pretty much just leave it to hidden gems? Because I mean, overall, I feel like they do put out updates that help people that are brand new. Obviously, like
mm,
competitive situations, you're kind of out of
yeah,
luck.
but if you're in like the health niche or business niche or these huge niches and you don't have the authority, you could have great content, you could be bringing something to the table that is not anywhere else referenced in those top ranking sites, but you might not have enough of that other content to support it, or the site authority to support it, or whatever that is. And I'm betting too this is probably more of a minor thing, meaning Google's not like split testing an entire first page of the SERPs. They're finding a hidden gem or two hidden gems and maybe
Like
split
trickling
testing
out to
those
specific
in air.
users.
Yeah, so like if you're looking at your SERP tracker, you might notice your ranking drop one place or two places, and then it goes back up one or two places. But it's probably sporadic, and it's probably I'm guessing it's got to be more dynamic because they couldn't just say, "Oh, here's a hidden gem," and then just throw it on the first page of a SERP, assuming that was, you know what I mean? There's definitely got to be more to it than that. So sounds like something that would probably be more minor. We probably wouldn't see as much of. But definitely, I would say for those of you who have massive blogs, especially if you have content that maybe wasn't receiving as much traffic before, go check your search console, see what kind of fluctuations there might be in what's ranking, what's getting impressions, what Google's split testing. If anything, it's going to open up opportunities for sites that have a lot of valuable content, but just are lacking in certain areas as far as authority and backlinks and whatnot, I would guess. So
Yeah, I mean that would
it'd be
definitely be
good.
nice to see for the platform. Hopefully, they're not just kind of saying these things to give us false hope or give the people,
Yeah,
the
right.
people that don't have marketing budgets that are just kind of always upset about the situation. But all right, and the last one here under this section. So Google shareable links for the recent search. Okay, so when you're going through the Maps platform, and is this on mobile? Because I know this is definitely the case on desktop. I don't think mobile, but if you're on desktop and you're on the Maps platform and let's say you're trying to find a hotel or something, and you go through a bunch of ones, and now you're like, oh, let me share, oh, my friend's trying to help me out. Well, let me share what I've got in front of me. You can actually hit the share link now, and it just kind of shares the list of items that you were just looking at. I'm trying to think what other situations would be really useful with that type of thing. Um, but it is a new feature. I don't know if Mike, you can think of any other good use cases for this that I'm not obviously figuring out right now.
No, I mean, honestly, not off the top of my head,
How
to
could
be
you could you
honest.
optim could you optimize anything with that?
Mm,
I don't know.
well, I mean, the real question is, will it do anything to? So, I mean, yeah, if Google allows you to make a link, you could build links to it, you could share it, syndicate across social platforms, you could do stuff. It's more so like, should we could test, see if there's anything that's actually useful with it. Does it, you know?
Like I think in the Instagram algorithm, if you have a lot of people that share your image, it has a lot of weight. I don't know. Who knows? But that's a different
Yeah, that's
platform,
exactly. And
anyways.
it's what's Google gonna do
It's
with
a
it? You know what I
it's a
mean?
different
Like if you have,
signal.
yeah, and maybe if you have verified user accounts or something sharing, I don't know. There could be a whole social aspect they're trying to roll out there. You never know. Definitely worth testing though, which we are in the middle of some massive changes at Web 20, but we should have the SEO Mad Scientist back up and running. I think we actually were just looking at a new logo, some new, materials for it. But yeah, this is a great one to maybe look at just even relaunching with some light testing on link optimization. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my list.
Oh, I bet there'll still be people trying to make a Fiverr gig out of it, regardless.
Oh, yeah, I still see the people selling the SEO crop circles, the rings of
I
my
love
math
that. That's
or
that's my
whatever.
favorite like nostalgic bit that you still see people selling. It
Yeah.
brings me back to the good old days.
Yeah, it's like if you saw someone like today selling like a link wheel or something, like it would be like, what? I haven't seen that term thrown around in a long time, but if we should just start selling link wheels. Who would buy the new link wheel service
Is
at
that just
Web
a stack?
20?
Is that just like a
Huh?
stack? Is that just like a stack of properties?
It's an
And you chain
old,
them?
old concept of essentially linking a group of sites, like one to the next, one to the next, one to the next, one to the next, and then they
Oh,
all link to your target site like a wheel with spokes, kind of with the links.
oh, okay. I mean, I'm sure I've made lots of wheels, lots of ovals, and all sorts of weird
Well, and then
shapes.
they had broken link wheels. They were PBNs. Okay, they're PBNs. They've always been PBNs. They were link wheels, broken link wheels, domain authority stacking, tiered linking, PBNs, Google News sites. It's all the same thing. A bunch of sites you own with a linking strategy. But yeah, it's just seeing some of those things that uh I'm pretty sure the SEO crop circles don't work. I honestly never knew if they actually did. I've never even
Well, I've used them enough.
subscribed to
I've used
that.
them enough across. I'm trying to think for context. It was one particular niche, and then we used them across all of our lead gen properties that were like across like like every southern state. And I mean, at one point they just it just wasn't doing any, or at least if it had any impact at all, it's something where even at a broad level, looking across every campaign, it's not distinguishable. So and it's like, okay, well you could do all these other things and see an immediate change. So it's like, and of course, and there's
Yeah.
gonna be people that are like, oh well, if you bring traffic to it, okay, well, what traffic are you? If you bring traffic to a lot of things, it's gonna increase your ranks. There's
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
better things to do.
if it works, I'm not gonna tell you to stop doing it if it's working for you. If you're selling it to people and it doesn't work, I'm gonna tell you to stop doing that. Stop selling shit that doesn't work. But if you're doing it and it's working for you, then hey, more power to you. But I honestly never even tried it. Never really. I subscribe to the fact that maybe it was the backlinks, unstructured citations, just everything else that makes any other property on this planet valuable for SEO. And then Google one day was like, yeah, that's stupid. Let's stop counting that, and then flipped a switch and it just went away. Whatever little bit there was impacting.
Yeah, I much rather, I guess that type of strategy, I might much rather just do like separate batch geos. And like, even then, it's like, I don't know, just one. Maybe I'd go for a lot of them just for the citation aspect of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Google, that, I mean, that platform, I mean, who's even using that platform really other than people spamming it? So, yeah. All right. So, and here's the last news item for today. So, this was, who was this from? Oh, it was a John Mueller tweet. No plans for historical data with Search Console to BigQuery. So why? I'm wondering why have they always been so difficult about moving the data over? Was there ever a good export option from Google Search Console?
Well, Google doesn't want you to be able to export and have too much of their data, period, because now you have a data set to reverse engineer, whatever. So, I mean, Google's always been stingy with their data, I guess you could say. Well, unless you're willing to pay them for it, a lot of money. Then they'll give you all kinds of data from people, but not your data, other people's data.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially like on the maps side, it's like you have to be using something like Local Viking to see like a full readout of things. Otherwise, you're messing with whatever UI they choose to serve to you at the given time and whatever timeline they choose to provide for you. Um,
I also think that Google doesn't care as much about that
oh,
as
about you like
opposed.
knowing and having that specific type of data.
Yeah, I mean their main business is search, and yeah, web developers play a big role in that, but first and foremost want to please the front end user, just making sure people can get data about their website and stuff. Like you're gonna get what you can get. You're not gonna shut down your website or not make it indexable by Google. You know what I mean? Like no one's
Yeah,
gonna be like, we're blocking Google bots, we're protesting Google, baby.
maybe if Bing takes over.
If Bing takes so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been playing around with Bing. I still don't like Bard. Some people seem to be a fan of Bard. The only thing I think Bard has is Google's backbone, which is going to be awesome. But the language model is nowhere near as good as Chat or GPT-4. And yeah, but Bing still sucks. I mean, their search engine still sucks. So
I mean, I don't use it. I've tried. It never stuck.
and I
But
can't even use their AI with the search function because their search sucks. There's a plugin. There is a plugin that allows you to use Google for search instead of the native Chat GPT API. I have not played with that yet. I literally just saw it, I think, last night or something. But I'm using like all 25 GPT-4 submissions like every hour, 3 hour, however, whatever the limit is.
yeah, no. Earlier today, I tried to open my Edge browser, Microsoft Edge, because I'm on Windows today, and so this is all just on the side of Microsoft, but it was forcing me to sign into a Microsoft account. So I have so if you have Windows, you have to be on the Pro version to be able to install it to your computer without an account that's tied to Microsoft, right? Right? You have to have the Pro version. Nobody has the Pro version. Why would you spend more money on like that one feature type of thing, right? So there's that. But then so today I try to open up because there was a cache issue. So I open up a new browser, Edge, and it won't let me. It would not let me leave until I signed in. I had to force close it with Task Manager. So I'm just like, I don't like Microsoft right now. They're so forceful about things. But yeah, that's my experience with Microsoft right now. But all right, so we're gonna go through some questions. I saw one question on the local SEO community that I wanted to bring up. I'm trying to see if there was another good one from this past week that wasn't already answered. But let's see. We have here's one that wasn't answered. Oh, okay, it's just somebody. So Mohammed, my page is indexed by Google and other pages are not yet, but the problem is that my home page appears with a site operator. Oh, okay, so site search shows, but it does not appear when you search for its brand name. I'm guessing. Um, Already submitted sitemap on calls. So I think, without knowing more about the business, if it's a new campaign, new business, new website, I think you're just in that typical situation where it's like, well, until you provide a certain amount of value or until you have some types of signals that signal that you have something going on, you just can't expect a normal experience with Google indexing your content. So, easiest suggestion from me, if you're like, let's say you're not doing a whole SEO campaign, outside of the typical stuff like submitting your sitemaps, do a press release on it, do some citations, I would say. But again, without more details, that's pretty much all there is to that type of situation, I would say. The other question that was on here, so this one's been asked a bunch of times before, but oh wait. Here's one from Brian McDaniel. On location pages, do you link to the GBP for the business or to the address of the business? I've always gone to the GBP itself with a map embed. I keep seeing people embed the address on Google Maps instead. So I think there's a few things there. So I think I know what you're talking about. I see people like when they don't have a GBP live or when a developer is working on a site and they don't even know if a GBP is live or whatever, they'll just grab the address and embed the address on there because that's easier than accidentally choosing the wrong business or something. That's one thing. I don't know why you would embed the address. So by link to the GBP or to the address, I think he's asking which one do you embed. Miles, I mean, would you ever just embed the address on something when you need to reference the business? I think that'd be a little bit weird if you have a GBP that's up.
I mean, I just as far as embedding, I don't. I'll sometimes embed the map, but more than anything, referencing the actual address and maybe linking to the map or linking to even the review page as well to leave a review. But yeah, I don't subscribe to too much crazy embed SEO strategy anymore. I used
Same.
to, but it's one of those things that just definitely doesn't seem to be a big impact anymore. And in a lot of cases, those maps have led to bad user experience with load times and things like that. So, I mean, if you put a picture, go to Google and take a snapshot of the screen of the map and put that image in your footer with a link to the listing, that would be fine for me personally.
Yep, and I've done that implementation where you lazy load the embed, but you have the image load on top, so that way it doesn't even load the embed until somebody clicks it. So that's one way to try to mitigate the load speed, but that is going to be impacted the more you embed stuff in there. But yeah, same with me. I've not really subscribed to the embed type of methods. If it's super helpful, then yeah, I'll do it, but it's very rare. So the only times I'm really embedding stuff is just that GBP by itself. There was another question on here. Another one that I've seen a few times across time. If a local website has multiple location pages for a small city, it serves but only one. Okay, so it has one GBP and there's multiple location pages. Is it best to link the GBP to the website homepage or to the location page of the city the GBP is located in? So that's kind of confusing because if you have a GBP for each location, then yes, I think that's pretty straightforward that you would rather use the location page. But if you have more location pages than GBPs, I guess the way I've done it is what's closest to that location. But what do you think about this, Mike? Because I think the question is essentially getting at, okay, I have just one GBP but a bunch of location pages.
Yeah, that's a tricky one that I've come into a lot of times with clients. I mean, really, what you're talking about now is organic strategy versus local strategy because you have a local targeted organic strategy on the site, but there really is no local maps or local SEO strategy for those locations.
Yes.
So,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I mean, they're just two completely different things.
So
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
the way that I would handle it is usually I frame it to the client that don't expect like a marketing campaign effort from a new location just because we can publish a location page. As in, hey, if you're trying to make a serious effort for this new city, we got to get a GBP also. It's all hand in hand. So that kind of establishes like the next part of it where I wouldn't really want to be pointing. So, oh, I'm getting confused with the last question as far as embedding the GBP. So, yeah, if the location page doesn't have a GBP for it, I guess you could either embed the closest GBP to that location or just not embed anything at all.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's the
but
same thing though. I just don't really subscribe to embedding the map, does it? Because you're not ranking the local map. If anything, having that map embed is going to help your local rankings. Your organic ranking doesn't go up because you put a local map on a page. Like, and it's in general, like I said, these are very, very minor signals now, probably. If anything, I haven't tested in a long time, but yeah, uh, it's organic versus local. So as long
okay,
as your
okay.
client understands
So
that.
there's okay. So that's the website side, but on the GBP side, so he's saying the GBP. It looks like it's a service area GBP because it's covering multiple cities and counties. Okay, so that's an issue. So I'm trying. I'm wondering. I wonder what the niche is because this doesn't sound like the way to set your GBP, and that's why it's kind of confusing to even begin with. Because I guess the follow up question is, okay, on the one GBP that you have, what URL are you putting in there if it covers all of these other cities? So I guess to begin with, I would probably only do like the GBP, like it's gonna cover max one city. And even if the visibility can go farther, so depending on the niche, depending on the area, population density, even if it can go farther, you're still going to link to the main one city that it's based off of. So I'm not sure if there's
Well,
any.
publishing a bunch of city pages, I haven't found to like increase your GeoGrid ranking. You know what I mean? Like just making a bunch of city like targeting different cities. I haven't really seen that like.
It's more so targeting the one or kind of starting from the center, right?
Well, yeah, but like in like that ranking on the GeoGrid that like, slowly goes out as you gain authority and
Oh,
relevance, just
right,
having
right.
a page for a city over here, I've never seen that like, oh, we're ranking this way
Same.
now more. So, Yeah, that's why I keep saying they're like two completely separate things.
Yeah.
That's where I try to get the client to understand.
Yeah, same with me where it's like no, the more correct thought is improve the rankings in the one city to further expand it versus trying to start a separate like organic effort in a different area to somehow, push the grid out that way type of thing.
Mm.
But okay. So yeah, so not sure why the GBP is targeting so many different areas. Definitely run a geogrid on it and see where its true center is if you for whatever reason don't know what it is, because that's what's going to show you for sure where the visibility comes from, and narrow it down. Delete those other areas from there. That's it's redundant at that point. If you're not able to rank that one GBP far out enough for that business, at that point you have to strategically think, where else should we get another GBP? Which of course goes along with whatever it takes for the client to go and actually set themselves up there in a compliant way. But again, using the GeoGrid to lead that effort, because you wouldn't want to just drop another location, like make them get another office somewhere where the one GBP is already covering. So yeah. Was there anything else in the chat here? What about a QR code? This is from David Negrit. I'm not sure how to say that. What about a QR code linking to a map listing on the location? So, I mean, on the location page, I guess. Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
think Google reads QR codes.
I always link to the GBP somewhere from the page, yes, but I'm not sure why you'd want to do it with the QR code.
And it's just a usability thing, but I mean, if you put a QR code, then you hyperlink the image of the QR code to the same thing but I don't think Google crawls QR codes. I mean, I don't remember that ever being a
I haven't
thing.
seen that yet, but I can't see why that's any better than just an embed or direct link, which, if somebody's on their phone, also, if you click the link, it does open the app, right?
Well, yeah, it's just the link. It's just so the yeah, it's just the yeah, it would just load what it does is it loads the link and then it uses your default browser on the phone. But yeah, it's just like clicking a hyperlink outside of your browser app.
No, I'm trying to think, like, why would you want to do the QR? Like, who does it help to put a QR code on the location
Oh,
page?
there is never a situation where I would see using a QR code on a website. That makes no sense to
That's
me.
like this. Like, some people will like post the QR code somewhere where like you're already kind of
Yeah, QR
online.
codes on websites, social media. QR codes are good for business cards, print,
so
direct
so
mailers, billboards,
so
TV.
from real
Yeah.
life to take somebody from real life to a web page, not so much a web page to another web page.
Yeah, QR codes are where you can't hyperlink something. When you can't hyperlink the napkin at the restaurant to the website, or you can't hyperlink the business card
Not
to your
yet.
website. Yeah, that's
Not
where you want
yet.
to use QR codes.
All right. Well, that was all the questions we got in there, and we covered all of the news. Mike, did you have anything for us before we do our send off?
No, send them off, Victor.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in to our show. If you enjoyed the episode, a quick reminder to share this with all of your friends that work in the SEO industry. Again, we have a website that you can go to, but you can also find all our recordings on YouTube. If you like using your YouTube app, I know I do. And again, we appreciate any feedback that you guys send our way. A quick reminder also, the local client takeover, the local SEO course 3.0. You have a very limited amount of time to send me suggestions if you want to see something new in there. Otherwise, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again the same time next week. Peace out.
Bye.